In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a big look at the entirety of the pattern as far as temperatures, storminess, tropics. We're going to be discussing everything. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it is quite a bit boring. And boring is good. I kind of have come to that conclusion, So, like, obviously, there's exciting things that are pretty innocent, like cooldowns and stuff like that, that do excite people this time of year. We don't have any of that coming up over the next week, at least, week or maybe 10 days. The rest of the pattern kind of after that is a little bit up in the air, no pun intended, but we're going to be discussing what is upcoming, and again, might be a little bit boring. I'll forgive you if you don't want to watch if you don't want to watch the rest of the video, but if you do, I'll try to make it as exciting as possible. We do have above normal temperatures pretty much from coast to coast here on the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here from September 24th to 28th, which will almost get us to the end of September here. We can see primarily warmer temperatures along the west and then along kind of like the upper Midwest into the eastern seaboard, with the coolest area, still not below normal, but the coolest area kind of being this region here over areas like Kansas, Oklahoma, North Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, better yet, Missouri, and into a little bit of Alabama and Tennessee there, being the most near normal area for the entire upcoming pattern. The 8 to 14 day temperature outlook is going to be for September 26th through October 2nd. And we can see the closest to normal conditions along the west coast, which will almost certainly bring in warmer temperatures to the central and eastern states through this late September timeframe. Of course, we were talking about maybe about a week ago the potential for this late September timeframe to be cooler than normal. We've kind of leaned away from that, and the models have as well, so we've kind of just followed suit with what the guidance is suggesting. With these long-range predictions, obviously you can't get every single one correct, and we go through it as if it's a possibility, not a probability, and this is exactly why. Sometimes these things go very similarly to what the long-range guidance is suggesting, and sometimes the long-range guidance starts to move away from certain ideas. We've been talking a lot about the upcoming winter and stuff, so we haven't had a chance to kind of gradually discuss the changes in the model guidance. So that's why it feels so kind of abrupt, this change. And I try not to do that, but of course we have videos that we do every fall time that I have to post at some point. And usually the more boring periods of weather is when I choose to do that, when there's not very, very important things to discuss. Now, the one thing I do want to mention before we get on with the rest of the video is that this actually, and I'm not just trying to grip at straws here or be like overly optimistic, but actually these warmer temperatures in the United States a lot of the time can mean good things for the late fall months and into the winter. You don't want a super frigid fall to see a really cold winter. Typically, a lot of very cold winters see normal to above normal fall times, or at least periods of warmth within the falls. The reason being is if there's cold temperatures here, that likely means that there is very warm temperatures over the Arctic regions that's forcing that cold air down into the more, again, middle regions like the United States and areas throughout like southern Russia or in, Europe. That's called the AO, the Arctic Oscillation. So when that is in its more positive phase, that actually means there's cooler than normal conditions over the Arctic region, and it's building up that snowpack and that ice up there, which is actually pretty critical for severe cold later on. Again, if the cooler than normal conditions are down here, then we're actually seeing warmer than normal conditions in the Arctic regions, which is just hindering its ability to build up that ice and snow. So there is a very optimistic way scientifically to look at this and think that this is actually a really, really good sign for later on in the fall and into the winter. We see that time and time again. Even last year, I can recall we had a cooler period, I believe, in September, an overall warmer majority of October into early November, and then it was like late November straight through the entire winter. It was, for the most part, majority much colder than normal because we were able to build up that snow and ice pack. And if we can continue to see a lot of positive AO phases throughout the fall, we might see similar things building. Last winter was extremely cold compared to normal, and especially even more so colder than the winters before it. Um, Despite the lack of snow in some areas, it was a very, very cold winter. Anyway, let's look at the past 20 days of temperatures. And this is going to be the final 2 days of August into the first 18 days of September. We're already the majority of the way through September here. And most of what you're seeing is reflecting what we saw in the first 10 days of September, which was majority warmth along the west here and a couple of really intense early September Arctic blasts into the central and eastern states. So this has progressively looked a little bit lighter and lighter blue. And I'm going to be curious if we kind of finish out the month on an average to above average note, if we do hold on to a little bit of blue in these areas, or if we actually see this turn neutral or even above average if we see kind of slight warmth the rest of the way through. Of course, the colder temperatures were very severe in the early portion of the month. So it depends on if the heat at the end of this month is severe or not. It's all going to kind of depend, but we'll keep watching this daily. Looking at the overall storminess, there's still not this huge surge of precipitation that you would love to see for some of these drought-stricken areas. I wish I could tell you that there was, but there really isn't. This evening, we do have some storminess throughout the kind of Midwest and plains, and that's areas that don't really need it like we do further east. Looking towards Friday, still the Midwest, Southwest here are areas that we're really seeing a lot of the activity. Really nothing's changing too much Saturday the 20th here. A little bit of storminess here throughout parts of the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic. But really, really dry still for the Ohio Valley and Northeast where they really need it the most. Looking towards Sunday here on the 21st. The Midwest Great Lakes starting to spread a little further eastward with this precipitation. Again, not really seeing it in the areas where it's really needed. We do see the Northwest seeing quite a bit of activity, and then again, these middle states of the United States. Looking forward towards Monday here on the 22nd, we do see the Rockies into parts of the Midwest, to parts of the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, and even into the Mid-Atlantic here, seeing quite a bit of storminess. Tuesday here on the 23rd, we start to finally see the East getting activity. Tuesday, 23rd again. Mid-Atlantic and Northeast do see showery activity here. We also see more of the deep south and southern plains seeing precipitation. This deep south area is another area that really needs precipitation. So this is a good day, Tuesday the 23rd. Monday on the 24th, we do get a little bit of a low trying to get going here. We get plenty of precipitation. It even looks like thunderstorms or severe weather could be going out throughout parts of the deep south. We'll have to watch for midweek next week. Tuesday on the 25th, a lot of that more thunderstorm activity appears to be more over, again, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee here. Still plenty of beneficial precipitation down here in the deeper south areas. Friday here on the 26th, thunderstorm activity is now more over the southeast in general, into the Ohio Valley. Saturday here on the 27th, again, we get a nice little surge of precipitation up into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Nothing heavy or consistent enough to really make me feel super optimistic about the precipitation moving forward. They're all very short-lived. As you can see, it moves right out by Sunday the 28th, but it's still better than nothing. Monday on the 29th, the central and east is very quiet. We do see the west, especially the northwest, seeing quite a bit of beneficial activity there as their wet season starts to get going a little bit early here. Typically, it happens later on in the year. We're seeing it a little earlier now on the models. Tuesday the 30th, southeast and northwest, the hot spots. Wednesday the 1st here. Not a lot of activity to go over, and it kind of stays that way through the end of the model run here on Friday the 3rd of October. Total precipitation, the really saturated areas will be the Central Plains, Central Midwest, Ohio Valley, Southeast areas, even into the Mid-Atlantic. The Northeast, I would love to see a little bit more than this ongoing. We, of course, don't. And then the West is actually quite impressive for this time of year. Looking at the anomalies, again, a lot of the West is above average. And so are these areas that we just kind of noted in here, where we've got quite a bit of greens popping up, but still quite dry along the Northeast and parts of the Mid-Atlantic coastline. That's kind of your more concerning areas. And then Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, also really, really dry. As far as temperatures, I mean, there's not too much to discuss. We're going to see some cooler temperatures at times. But overall, the warmth is going to win out. We do get this little backdoor cold front, and what that means is typically our cooldowns come kind of from the northwest and move into the east. This one almost goes like inverted and starts coming from the northeast down these areas. That's a backdoor cold front. So watch this play out here. This is Sunday the 28th. This is the long range, so take it with a grain of salt. Into Monday the 29th. It's pretty short-lived, and then we actually get a lot warmer after that point. Some cooler than normal conditions here across, especially the Rockies. It's going to aid in really encouraging this warmth to move northward in a lot of the central and eastern states. Unfortunately, the GFS model is going to agree for the most part. Again, warmth dominating. We don't even get the backdoor cold front, I don't think, here. No, we just stay like pretty purely warm. The only thing is by October 4th, it does look like we're getting a little warm push here up the west. Could start to encourage cooler temperatures to start to move down into the central and eastern states during that first week of October. We'll have to watch. It's very, very, very far out. But the only really promising sign for cooler than normal conditions at all in the model runs is really this sort of time frame, early October. And that's going to be the time frame that we're now watching for a potential pattern change at this point. So with all of that stuff being said, guys, be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day, even when the weather's boring. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.